Hey everybody, Dr. Imholt again, talking about aliens and how a lot of the stuff that people are out there saying is true is really not. And somebody asked me to kind of go all the way back to the Roswell incident. So here we are, Dr. Imholt back, a new sheriff in town on this particular topic who actually wants alien life to be real. I would actually love it if somebody could come forward and legitimately prove this stuff and do it with more than a trust me, bro version of evidence. And a lot of people, I had some comments on a video I did where people were like, well, it's in congressional testimony. Not impressed by that. I've seen a lot of congressional testimony. I don't care. It was given in a skiff. I've been in skiffs. Once again, I'm going to go with don't care, not impressed. Evidence that actually holds up under even the most modest of scrutiny would be nice. But let's talk about Roswell. And a lot of times when you hear about Roswell, you think about this image right here and the alien autopsy thing that went around. That was in the about 10, 15 years ago proven to be an absolute fake. They actually showed how it was faked. They figured out where it was fake, so the people involved came forward. But of course, that's not nearly as much fun as the oh, it was fake. So the Roswell incident, way out in the middle of nowhere, and everybody's like, well, gee, everybody out there saw it. There was something mysterious going on out there. First off, Roswell, really small town. It is right there in New Mexico. It's way out in the middle of nowhere, not a big town. It was even smaller then. It's like 48,000 people now. And it was smaller in the 1940s. There's a reason we tested nuclear weapons in New Mexico is because there's like nobody that lives there. Okay, there are people that live there, but it's very much empty space. That's why a lot of this stuff went on out there. Now, why did this event occur here? Why did the aliens choose there? Well, at Area 51, which is not that far from there, they did a lot of high altitude testing of different things, different experimental aircraft. The stealth fighter was first tested out there, a lot of others. But in the 1940s and 1950s, we weren't working on stealth technology so much as we were working on technology that might have another purpose or two because we were doing nuclear testing, the Russians were doing nuclear testing, and we wanted to monitor the Russians' nuclear testing. And the way you do that is from way up in the air. And the higher altitude you can get, the better measurements you can get on exactly what somebody's doing as far as testing goes on the other side of the planet. Because fallout or debris from a nuclear weapon gets kicked way up, and you could pick it up and trace elements up in the upper atmosphere as it goes around in the jet stream. And here's this famous image from Roswell of debris from the alien craft. It's really thin aluminum. Oh my gosh, how could they travel through space with this if it was just us? And there's been people who've come out and claimed over the years that, well, I had a piece of it. I can't show it to you, but I had a piece of it and it will self repair. You can rip it and it goes back together. I can't show you, but there's real ones out there. I've got it. It's in storage, but I can't bring it out or they will come get it. Now, what was really going on? I looked around. I couldn't find an actual image of a late 1940s weather balloon. This one's from the 1950s. Notice something very similar here. You've got this nice instrument pack on the bottom. Does not look like a balloon. These are very high altitude things, very early ones that just went way up. We're up there to measure stuff. Sometimes there were accidents, sometimes they fell apart. But if you look at this thin material, look at this thin material it's the same stuff. How do I know that? Well, in 2024, a Pentagon spokesperson who had the job of actually going out and looking into these things came forward and testified in front of Congress. He went into the record just like everybody prefers. And he said the same thing a lot of scientists like myself have been saying for a very long time. Not of alien origin. A lot of us were coming out and saying that. We were getting beat up over it. People like, you just don't believe. No, I believe aliens are real. I just don't believe that was an alien incident. Kirkpatrick was his name. He came out and kind of said, yeah, it was a weather balloon, which was kind of known anyway, right? I think the big confusion about this event came in the fact that they first released a story about a crash and then they changed it to a weather balloon, and really it was a nuclear a missile test sensor that was up there. That was probably also had weather packs on it, but hey, you got to hide out what it really is. So the Air Force got real sketchy about what was going on because the moment they tell the news, they tell the Soviets, and then the Soviets get really mad, and you know how that goes, right? So now it's 80 years later, and nobody gives a crap. But at the time they had to kind of cover up what they were doing, but it was one of these balloons. It was not an alien craft. They did not recover bodies that looked like this and kept them at New Mexico. Nobody talked to them and came out with, wow, they're really smart guys. Um, this was a complete hoax. The craft itself, some of the craft at the time, some of these balloons did carry mannequins, human-sized mannequins that had sensor kits on them that could have looked very bad after a crash. And uh, they were doing that to see sort of what conditions would be up there for a human and whether or not these balloons could carry a human, just to kind of see. Because if you're running one experiment, you may as well run five because it's the expensive part is the balloon. So you put as many instrument packs on the bottom as you can. But this was not an alien craft. These guys weren't on it. It was one of those. Sorry, hate to tell you that, but that's how we were watchdogging Russian nuclear missile tests. And that was the secret they were trying to keep. Everybody have a good night.